Hello everybody, welcome to the return of whatever. I'm Herbert Midgley.
And I'm Daniel Nelson.
And I'm Amit Dedia.
Awesome, how's everybody doing today?
Doing well.
Well, we got a lot of really great topics today. Let's see, let's kind of dive right into them and so forth. Well, Dan, I noticed you had a couple really cool ones. Which one would you like to talk about, Dan?
I don't know. Maybe the latitude one first, because that seems to be more of a hot topic, I think, at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
You guys read the article, or I'm sure maybe heard about it through some other news source, Google Latitude?
Yeah, it looked fascinating. You can actually GPS people, right?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like a mashup of stuff that's been around for a while, you know, like phones have GPS locators in them, and Google has Google Maps. It's not a huge leap to go from those two things to being able to track friends on Google Maps using GPS signals and stuff. And now, obviously, I think Google understands that this is going to be a privacy issue, so they're having this be like an opt-in kind of a thing, and you got to sign a release waiver saying you understand they're tracking you and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It's kind of crazy and cool and scary, and obviously there's a lot of crazy headlines, people blowing stuff up.
Well, I know this since Gmail actually does. Google does have like the world as well as a galaxy kind of map. If I'm abducted by aliens, will it still track me going to Mars?
I think they probably could
please
up until
say
you
yes.
lost your GPS signals. Right? So when you went out of range of the GPS satellites, and I'm not sure if they're directional, like do they point in?
Well, I'm sure that there's some really
well,
great
there'd be less interference going outwards anyways, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's my directional thing, because like if they're just sort of like pointing out, yeah, you might actually be able to pick it up all the way to Mars.
Well, basically like the real life uses are like this. Like, do you really want your girlfriend?
You
wife?
could be twittering. You could be twittering, and you could be like, "They are probing me now. I am being probed."
Well, like the real practical uses of this thing is like this. Do we really want your girlfriend or your wife, or if you're kids, do you really want your parents to know where you're at every second of the day?
Well, I'm going to bring out just a quick comment on it. There are other applications that have existed, especially on the iPhone and on Windows Mobile, that have piggybacked off of the GPS signals before. The thing about them are that those applications tend to be the information is as good as the timeliness it's received. So on the historic Friends apps that were on the iPhone when they first opened up the application framework, they would show, it would say that I was in Nacogdoches when I could be when 2 hours later, or I was in Nacogdoches 2 hours ago, but now I'm in Houston.
Yeah.
So I don't know how well Google's handling that, because obviously that's, a lot of data that has to get passed up and down through a lot of different pipes.
But basically, this
a lot of pneumatic tubes.
This would be the scenario. All right, you got a clingy boyfriend or girlfriend, and let's say, all right, say I got my girlfriend or whatever, and say, I'm gonna go out and get me some peanut butter sandwiches. All right. So I decide, I'm going to go do that, but I'm going to go to the library, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go walk around the Arboretum, and I come back and say, I thought you were going to get sandwiches only. Why didn't you take me to the Arboretum? Why didn't you take me to the library? Because I want to be alone, baby, that's why.
Well, also just reading
well,
over
first
it,
off,
it sounds like it's going to have the ability to change what your status is. So, one, you could just turn it off for a while, or lie, I guess. Maybe.
Well, where did you go when you turned that thing off?
You could always. I think you might be able to lie with it too. I don't know. You might be able to say like, "I was here."
Well, I give it to Meat, and he could go get peanut butter sandwiches while I go do what I do, and I get my phone back.
Well, I,
Good.
I'm not going to comment any further because this is a rated G
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly.
And
Yeah, and you let your mind
we're
wander
going to keep it there.
of all the
We're gonna,
potential things that people do, and some of it is like not so much being clandestine, but let's say Valentine's Day is coming up. Let's say I didn't want her to know I was buying her roses or something like that, or going buying her candy and whatnot. So I'd use a cover story. Yeah, I'm going to get gas, and really what I'm doing is picking up presents or whatnot. So I mean, it is. Um, it's just part of being in this environment that we're connected at all times.
yeah.
One
Well,
thing.
and then there's the general like, do you really want to be stalked?
Well, this is. I went to a creativity conference this week, which is actually the best conference I have ever been to. If SFA ever has this again, I reckon both of y'all coming out to it. I mean, it was just so innovative about how to put creativity into the classroom, into business, into government. They talk about the cities, and anyways, it was really, really fascinating. But one of the teachers was talking about how the worst things about kids having, like little kids having cell phones, is not so much the kids text messaging, it's their parents are text messaging. Hey, where you at? What are you doing? And you know what the kids gonna text message? I'm bored. We ain't doing nothing in school. And basically it's the parents constantly knowing where their kids are at all time via the text message. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any answer to that. And now it's just gonna be this easy to tell. Susie's in her 5th grade class, but now she went to lunch and now she's on the playground.
Well, I don't think it's that focused, but I mean, at some point it will be. So
Yeah.
maybe, but then again, maybe parents would want to tag their kids like that. There are parents who are trying to get their kids microchipped and all.
I, I, I just say this. My parents turned me carte blanche out. Go out. Get out. Go have fun. Get out of the house. And this is
Yeah,
the result.
but the times have changed since you were a wee little kid.
And this is kind of off technology thing, but I honestly believe that it hasn't. Has there always been bad people around? Yes. Is there any more bad people around today? Not in relationship with the population. It's the same amount of bad people in correlation to as it always has been. And what happens now is that kids don't go out and play anymore. They don't. Anyways, we need to say that for like another topic at some point or another. That's just what I believe.
Mm.
And one reason why I really feel that I've done a lot of really great things is because I went out there and explored and stuff. But
so let's move on to another topic. Herb, why don't you pick a topic and go with it?
Well, I mean, one is always, we used to talk about this in the old days about social engineering and how easy it is to do that. And basically, these hacker kids decide, okay, well, we're going to put fake tickets on these people's cars and send them to this website where it basically takes over their computer or hacks their computer. And that's basically social engineering in a very kind of, I say, innovative way in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, it is. When it comes down to it, people, if it looks official, people will try to follow it as official. Actually, in the same vein, there's been a pretty big scam going on recently where people are receiving letters from a courthouse saying that you owe X amount for this ticket that this speeding or this camera caught you in your city on, and you please mail payment to this location. They had a thing on the news a couple months ago about that.
Well,
and people don't send money. I mean, because it looks official.
Well, personally, I had this happen to me. I got a text message from my bank, and it gave your account has been compromised. Please call this number, and it was a local number. And I got 2 of those, and I realized no bank's going to text message me. I mean, no bank is ever going to text message me. So on Monday, I went to the bank, and they said, you didn't call. I said, no, I didn't call. Good. Because we had people call, and basically there was a machine there that recorded all their information, and probably in Nigeria somewhere, they're living high on the hog with some of their money or something.
Well, every time around this time of the year, I get like this information about the government, and they want like money that I have to send them, and I don't know about all this, man.
And you have to send it through old poor Juan Pablo over in Nigeria or something, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the whole idea of social network or social engineering has really become an art form nowadays because it's really hard to tell if things are true or false. The best solution I would say is that if it involves any financial risk or anything financial or any private data, contact you. You know, if they call you saying that you owe money or you whatever, or your account has been compromised or whatever, you tell them, all right, well, let me call my bank and ensure that this is a legitimate call. And let me get your phone number there so we can verify that.
Yeah.
And if they don't give me their phone number, I don't even make the call.
I mean, my rule of thumb is basically I don't conduct any business over unsolicited means. So if I didn't initiate the contact to a known source, I don't really want to deal with them. So whatever they call me, whatever they send me, I pretty much ignore. You know, if I want to buy something or I want to do something, I'll initiate it. I'll go, do my research and get my information and get what I want.
I also think folks don't realize how easy it is to have your computer taken over. I went to this one site that someone had mentioned on one of these. I was doing some research or something or other, but it turned out this site was basically a site that would take over your computer, basically. Put Trojans on it, but I'm on a Mac, so it didn't do anything. And basically, it's impossible to click off. I mean, you can't click off any of these things. I mean, these pop-ups come up. There's no way to click the pop-ups up. So basically, the only thing that you could do at that point maybe is to crash your computer, and maybe you won't get infected by that. But the happy thing about being on a Mac is that that was there, and I was just thinking, man, this site was just so blatantly horrible. I can't believe it's been up more than I don't know however long it's been up.
Don't forget though that the number of Mac ones are growing, man. I guarantee you within 6 months, you're not going to be able to say, thank God I'm on a Mac anymore.
Okay, well, I've been hearing that for forever, but...
I'm going to agree with Herb here. I've been hearing that ever since I first started using Macs 3 years ago, and still hasn't happened. Still haven't had to buy a virus protection program.
I haven't had a virus that's been malicious on a Mac since 1990... Golly, probably 1996 is the last time I had it.
For the first time though in my IT career, we actually received a sort of an official notification from our systems group administrators for administrative offices regarding those the two Trojans that are hijacking the iWorks download, right? That we mentioned last week.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think I really do think that it's not going to be PC level anytime soon, but I think it's becoming more attractive to writers of the code.
I would say this, that probably most of the Mac folks don't run an antivirus piece of software. So, however, the thing that is a little bit different is that, at least for me, when I install an application, it asks me, hey, type in this, anything that's I have to type in my own code to get into it. Yeah. So that's something that's different than the XP and Vista.
So the best virus to write would be one that pops up a little message that says type in your password.
There you go, Dan. Thinking like a hacker as always, Dan. Well, Meet, which topic would you like to talk about now, Meet?
Well, I personally, I actually have some just general topics. I have some great educational topics, but recently I had this conversation with some coworkers about being an open source consumer versus being an open source contributor, and being a web user versus a web contributor. We had discussed how, honestly, our usage patterns on the web are all about consuming, and same with open source. I mean, how often, whenever you go out and you're having a problem with whatever you're doing, like recently we were talking about trying to figure out a way to handle texts via cell phones. We go out on the web and we go search for that problem, and then we find the answer, but we don't, or we found the answer and we use it. But how often do you actually go out there and look for other people's problems and solve them? I mean, if you have the knowledge, how often do you add to that knowledge pool?
Well,
And I'm noticing more and more people aren't.
I usually don't like go looking for other people's problems to solve, but usually when I'm looking for my own problem, and if I run into a solution and there's not a solution out there, I will usually try to post it. And
Yeah.
though sometimes like I won't usually go over the I guess what I consider the roadblock of signing into yet another of the 9 gazillion forums out there. So if it's one that I use and I actually have an account on, I will go ahead and make a post. And I do that in a few things. And I do belong to a couple of open source mailing lists, and I'll post on those when I run into things. But it is true, I certainly don't go out there out of my way, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a concern that I'm having, and I think after the conversation I had recently, I'm going to be trying to be more proactive about. Whenever I search for a problem, I'll find like 20 pages where people have the same problem, and then I'll eventually find that one page where they have a solution, or I'll eventually discover the solution on my own. But I never go back to those 20 pages where they had those problems and said, oh, well, this is a solution that I found, and this is what worked for me. I think I'm going to start moving forward in that pattern, just because we, as a whole, I think more people need to contribute, and it kind of breaks down into the open source world, right? There are a lot of people who promote open source software left and right because it's the best, greatest thing in the world, but would guesstimate about 75% of them promote it for the fact it's free, but they promote it as a consumer. They don't actually contribute back other than the promotion of the software. I mean, they don't spend the time to maybe help write some documentation, help write the code, help provide quality feedback. I mean, most open source advocates don't, and that's kind of backwards in my mind.
Well, I do the same thing. Is that I go through and I dig for a question and I find 10 billion people, have answered something a part of it, and finally, you find the answer to it, and it's like yes, finally, I can fix this problem, and I wish it was on page one. Why couldn't it have been on page one? And the positive thing is that at least it is on the internet, somewhere on the internet, if you have the tenacity to find it. But not everybody does.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, let's say you found the answer on page. Do you go back there to page one and post the answer on page one if it's, an accessible place to post it? Most people don't. And, if it's a page one type answer, or if you can put it on page one, you just help a lot of people out quickly.
Yeah, I
totally. Just something that I personally am going to be doing in the next weeks, trying to push forward the effort to actually become a contributor on the web, be a contributor on any projects that I really don't use much open source right now, but I have contributed to open source software before, so I'm going to continue to try to contribute more and get more stuff out there, and I'm going to also advocate contribution as much as possible.
Well, can I do show and tell right now?
Sure.
Because I know you got your iPhone, right? Let's see.
Yeah.
Show about your iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, you got your BlackBerry? Awesome. All right.
I have my iPhone.
All right. Check out.
Cracked screen and all.
Check out. You all got girly, man. Check out this. This is a Newton Message Pad 120. Check out that. Here's a comparison. Here's an iPod Touch. It's a girly little thing compared to the Newton.
Yeah, well, the Newton does double as a weapon at when needed.
It's
Maybe a
bulletproof.
shield even.
Yeah, I can almost hide behind it. Now you see me. Now you don't. Uh, this actually I got this Newton when they were actually kind of going out. They were kind of blasting these out, and this was a specialized Newton. I can't put the pencil all the way into it because it had special nursing equipment they use in hospitals. And I got this thing I think for $120. And this is the PDA. I mean, this was Apple's early vision of what we just take for granted now. And so it's a piece of history. Has a IR font. I could sync up to another Newton if I want to. So
Or you could control your TV.
I could control a TV with it. And had place for 4 batteries. So it was. It had a place where I could expand the memory into it. Had the serial font on it, so it's and a place for electricity if you want to. So this thing was, pretty dang good at the time, and that's how it looked there. And you wrote on it.
Mm-hmm.
So in a lot of ways, here's a Frankenstein of all the handheld PDAs and so forth. And
it's the precursor to all PDAs.
Well, this is before Palm and so forth, and
Yeah.
and so forth. So, anyways, I just happened to be at my folks' house, and I remember I had this piece of history. I talked about it on one of them, and I wanted to show everybody what we have, where we came from, and where we're at today. This is probably 97 or 6 or 8 or something. I don't remember.
Well, speaking of those types of devices, we actually have another topic in regards to the Amazon Kindle, which is kind of the next generation of the PDA in a lot of people's minds. So, who would like to talk about that?
Was that yours, Dan? Dan, was that your link?
And I think Dan's audio cut out.
Hey, Dan, is your audio still there? All right. Tell you what, I'm going to hang up on you, Dan, and I'll call you back, okay? All right. So, say goodbye to Dan. Now you see him?
Say goodbye.
Now you don't. Let me call him back up.
Oh, that's humorous.
Well, I bring out the Newton and things start falling apart,
Hey, you know what? It's just getting back on.
Hey, Dan.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Talk about the Kindle, please.
I was wondering why you were ignoring me earlier. You finally did show it, but I was really curious about the screen size of the Newton there.
It dwarfs.
Well, I actually like that, and this actually does segue into the Newton, into the Kindle a little bit because the Kindle is primarily a book reader, an ebook reader, and I actually use a program called Mobi Pocket for my BlackBerry, and it's all right, except for the screen size is, as you can see, not very big at all. And
I use a
it does all
program
right,
called
but I would like something a little bigger. And I really love the idea of the Kindle quite a bit. And I've been following the first one quite a bit. I've been kind of I drool over it every now and then. I would love to get one. Unfortunately, the price is still really, really high for a book reader, essentially, and it doesn't do a whole lot else, which, the fortunate thing about this is that, it's everything else, my phone and camera and all the other things that it is. I just had a hard time justifying the purchase of a Kindle when all it does is allow me to read books, which I can buy without overhead.
Well, there are actually a couple reasons why you would get a Kindle. The Kindle also allows you to
Sell it to me, Amit.
Well, and this is I got a friend who bought a Kindle when it first came out, and the Kindle does allow you to surf the web. It allows you to read any documents that you have. From a eco-friendly perspective, you are cutting down less trees when you get your daily news feeds, newspapers, magazines, if you get it into that one format. From a space perspective, as you grow your library of books, you aren't actually having to grow your bookshelves.
That one actually really appeals to me, especially as I get older and I am less capable of carrying the boxes and boxes of books
I,
from apartment to
I,
apartment.
I bought 8 books today. I bought 8 books today.
hmm And the other thing about it is, I mean, the technology behind it needs a push. I think it's worth
It
putting the
would be
money
weird
into
surfing the
something like
internet in
that
black and
because
white.
I'm sorry.
I said it would be weird surfing the internet in black and white.
Well, you know that they have come up with the e-paper technology that does color now.
Yeah, but the Kindle doesn't have it, and I don't think the
Yeah.
Kindle 2 is going to have it.
Well, I don't know about if the Kindle 2 will. We'll find out tomorrow when they do their keynote. But I think that unless people are putting money into that technology, nobody's gonna. Unless there's a demand, they aren't going to release it. It's kind of like the Newton. There really wasn't much of a demand, so it died pretty quickly.
Well, I'll think about it. Maybe this year for my birthday or something, I'll pick up the Kindle 2.
Hey, Dan, in 10 years you can be showing the Kindle on the return of whatever ever. And here's
The
the Kindle,
return of
everybody.
whatever.
Yeah, I really like also the idea of like carrying books with you. I've really gotten kind of addicted to that with the Moby Pocket Reader for this because mostly I read like the Bain Library has free books, free sci-fi books on their website, and you can get them in Moby Pocket format. And then of course you can get all the books off of Project Gutenberg, and they have a lot of like great old classic sci-fi books and stuff. Like I've been rereading the John Carter of Mars books. And I just love that I can, I've got probably about 30 books on here. A lot of like H.P. Lovecraft stuff, a lot of Edgar Rice Burroughs, various things, some classics, a couple like an Esperanto dictionary and stuff. And it's great. It's like, all of that on there.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put a little shout out to the users of to the users of the iPhone and iTouch. But there's an application called Stanza, same thing. I'll see if it'll come up.
Yeah, actually, you can actually see the text. Yeah.
Yeah. But the cool thing is, you can actually you can pull books from Project Gutenberg. You can pull books or you can pull feeds from different news feeds, and they all come on here. It's a great tool. The problem is that on an iPhone or on your BlackBerry, they're going to be power sinks, right? Whereas on an ebook reader like the Kindle or Kindle 2 or Sony's ebook reader, it's going to be once you render the page, it doesn't have to render the page again.
I got the King James Bible for free on the Stanza.
That is true. I really, I don't know how your performance is with the iPhone, but with the BlackBerry, I really don't find that it really hurts it all that bad. I don't know. I charge like pretty regularly anyway, especially because one of the things I love about the stuff, and I'm kind of scared it's going to go away, and I've heard something about it, but the mini USB ports. Like, aren't they switching to mini USB, like micro USBs or something in the new cell phones?
I haven't heard that yet.
Could be.
Well, we should do some research on that because I've seen some articles about it that they're talking about going away from this format. Now that would be okay if the micro USB is going to replace the mini USB format across the board. But what I like about this is that it's ubiquitous. I can borrow a cable from anybody if I need to recharge. And with the download of a driver, I can recharge on any computer, Mac, or PC.
Well, the cool thing, I found one of those ones that hooks up to my cell phone. So now I don't have to carry a charger around. I just carry that around my bag where I can carry my laptop, and now I can charge my phone with my computer.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Well, I'm saying, I find it convenient too.
Okay.
Well, for me, I look at it from a different perspective. For a short while in my career, I had to travel a lot, And I would have loved to have a Kindle type device when I was traveling a lot, because then I'd have my whole library of books available. There wouldn't be power consumption, so whenever you're stuck on a 15-hour flight, I mean, you can't recharge your batteries on a 15-hour flight or a 17-hour flight. So, and I think that these devices, the Kindle, Kindle 2, the Sony ebook reader, all of those devices have a huge market if they actually would promote themselves to the traveling person.
Hey, mate, do you know how to change books on Stanza? I can't figure out how to get out of the
Hit the center. Hit the center.
Okay, there you go.
And when you go.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah, just got to understand how it works. But yeah, I mean, I've got one friend who has a Kindle One. I thought that the form factor was a little bit ridiculous to me because it had that weird, like thick on one side, thin on the other side form factor to it. Whereas the Sony ebook reader was very thin and lightweight. But apparently that thick and thin format that it had for the original one worked really well because it made you feel like you were holding a novel.
Yeah, this is great. I didn't realize you could download these straight from that. This is awesome.
Yeah, you didn't? Yeah, you can download all kinds of stuff and you can stream. I mean, Stanza is a great program. It's much like, I think Moby Pocket, you have to actually go to third-party sources and pull them in. Is that correct?
I think there actually is some kind of like book buying feature where you can probably like buy stuff from Moby's website, which is where their profit model comes in. But yeah, I don't know of any like way to go find like free ones directly from within the application. I think you like what I do is go find them on the internet, download them, and manually copy them over to the BlackBerry. So yeah, you're correct.
Well, I mean, if it hooks to Project Gutenberg, I mean, right here, the art of war. Finally, I can learn about war and the art of it. It's about time.
Yeah. I mean, it's all public domain stuff, but there's a lot of public domain stuff that's pretty awesome. I mean,
Princess of Mars, man, Edgar Rice Burroughs. Everybody should read it.
Actually, the first book that I read on Stanza was the Time Machine, H.G. Wells.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, I mean, Stanza has that one feature that the Kindles have, which I think is amazing, is that you can actually pull stuff without having to, sync it to another device to get your data in there, right?
I'm downloading A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, and it was the worst of times.
Download A Princess of Mars, man. I'm telling you, awesome book.
All right.
It's written by Edgar Rice Burroughs, the same guy who wrote the Tarzan books.
This is great, man. Shoot, awesome. See, you learn stuff on this podcast, everybody.
At least Herb learned something on the podcast.
Hit the middle, and then you can pick whatever books you want to download off the Gutenberg. That's awesome.
All right. Well, I've got one more topic I just kind of wanted to go through, just because I'm the software developer, and they had a really great article on Jolan Software, which is a blog that I highly recommend for any software developer or anybody interested in software development. That was advice for comp sci students in college. Pretty much his advice can be boiled down into 7 points. Learn how to write before graduating.
You talking about like right?
Yes, learn how to communicate your ideas before you graduate. Because, and this is a very true topic. It's very, very true in that unless you can communicate what you want to do or what you're trying to get done, nobody will understand. I mean, nobody will take you seriously.
I totally agree with that.
And I think that's something that everybody in college should learn, really.
Well,
learn how to communicate properly.
In every class I teach, rock, jazz, guitar, electronic music, there's a writing component in every class I have. And I feel that for you to graduate, you need to be able to write, especially write ideas both verbally as well as written.
Yeah. So I agree with him there. What about you, Dan? Other than laughing about it,
I agree.
I think it's Dan's a surprise that someone could graduate from high school and not be able to write.
Well,
I guess
I mean,
not
obviously
really
the topic-
surprised because I yes, but it's funny.
The second thing that he postulates is learn C before graduating. The C the language, not C the letter. But learn C because C is a much lower level language than most schools are teaching nowadays.
You should know that
And you
before
can't
graduating
really-
high school too.
I'm sorry?
They should know that before graduating high school too.
Yeah, well, we're talking college here, so. But C, the big thing about C for computer science major is that it forces you to learn about how memory allocation occurs, how memory deallocation occurs, how things are stored in the system. I mean, it's really a lower level than they'll actually ever use, probably, but it's
Assembly.
good to know. It's good to know how the inner workings of things are.
Let me ask this to me because I'm not a programmer.
They should also learn how to write in assembly.
Well, I believe that myself. That's my first thought is assembly, because I learned more in my assembly course than I learned in most of my earlier comp sci classes.
Because for the program,
I liked my COBOL class too. That was a good one.
Go ahead, Herb.
For people that aren't programmers like me that basically knows 10, 20 go to 10, that's my programming experience.
Basic.
Yeah, I know. Like how difficult is it to learn C versus? Well, I guess let's just say C because that's what this person's recommending.
A monkey can do it.
You put a group of monkeys in front of a typewriter. Eventually, they can type out Hamlet, or type out Shakespeare. But I would say that C
to see or not to see.
C would be difficult compared to some other languages because you have to understand the concepts more so with C than when you first start writing C than you would in say BASIC or COBOL.
Now, is he expecting them to be fluent in C or just be able to program in C?
Well, not to program C, but just understand C, understand the language C, understand why things are done. I mean, I think he uses C because that's what he knows. But I would say that the real thing is understanding how things work at a lower level than they're actually going to be working on.
I see.
And this comes back to some code that I've written before, where if you don't understand how a double or a number with a decimal point is stored in memory, that's just a really weird how that's actually stored in memory. But 2 may not actually be equal to 2 if you look at it in a computer.
That's not good.
It may be like 2 0 0 0 0 0 0 1 just because of how it's stored in memory, and that can cause problems when you're doing any sort of mathematical equation. You may end up with a random 3 as the last digit and not understand that if you don't understand the lower level piece of it. But anyway,
I would even take this a step further and say that if you're in computer science, you probably should even look and in addition to like some C and maybe even some assembly, which I think would be good. Even taking some like electronics courses or electrical engineering courses or something, so you actually understand not just how the computer is built and how the software interacts with the computer, but I mean what really is a computer and how do those things function at like a physical level.
Yeah. Anyway, so his third topic was, second was C. His third topic was learn microeconomics before graduating, which I also agree with. Understand how business works. I mean, obviously, Herb and I recently have had a lot of conversations around business, and understanding how microeconomics and businesses work really will help you in your career as a computer scientist.
Well, I will say this.
Unless you end up staying in academia.
I will say this, is that the reason why people have $16,000 average debt on their credit cards is because they don't understand economics.
Yeah.
I will say
Well,
that.
for this article, it was mostly discussing how the microeconomics of learning microeconomics, so you can understand how business people talk, or what they're referring to from the business side. Because you can be the best developer out there with the best ideas, but if you can't sell them, or if you can't interact with the people who will sell them, I mean, what good are you, right?
I tell you,
It's, you know,
a lot of things that you're saying are things that we talked about at that creativity conference I went to this week.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
His fourth topic was don't blow off non-CS courses just because they're boring. So
Pay attention to rock
don't blow
history.
off those. Yeah. Well, it's because you learn things that'll broaden your experiences. And the other thing that he postulates is that in the most boring classes you take in college, that you remember that when you're on those 14-hour layovers at airports, because nothing's as bad as the most boring class you had in college. Then his next topic was don't take programming intensive courses, which I also agree. I mean, take classes that do challenge you into being a better developer, or to actually develop something interesting. Stop worrying about all the jobs going to India was the sixth topic, because come on, we all know where that, or all developers who've been in the industry for a while have seen the ups and downs of outsourcing now, and there's enough growth in the industry that you don't have to worry about all the jobs going away. And seventh, and I think one of the most important is, no matter what you do, get a summer internship, or get a.
Right now I got some major hissing going on. Do you guys hear it? Did you hear it?
Yeah, I do.
Golly. Meat. I'm gonna kick you to meat and let you get back on, okay? All right. I'm kicking the meat. Bye, meat. Hey, Dan. All right. So meat was the problem. So here we go. Let's call it back a meat. Hey, we switched sides also.
He's such a problem.
No, we love a meat. Meat's awesome. So we were like on number 4, right?
Yeah, we got 3 more of these things to go.
Come on, meat. Answer the phone. Answer the phone. Oh, he declined.
He declined. What's he doing?
Let me try one more
He
time.
probably did something weird to his computer.
Well, since I'm not really a programmer, it's a little bit abstract. But I'll be honest with you. Hey, meat.
There he is.
It is awesome that we can hang up and then get back on and everything works. It's great. So meat, you were on number 4, right? So we got 3 more to go.
I thought it was on number 7. But,
Okay.
That's cool.
I must have dozed off.
What was the last
No,
one
it
you
was
heard?
really
You heard
the
about
4th thing you
internship?
should know.
I was playing with my iPod Touch. Oh well.
You know what? Quit playing with it.
Well, that's awesome.
We're in the middle of a cast, dude.
Well, I think this was a good cast
Hey,
today.
but before we sign off, I had a friend who came up with a new slogan for us that I really, really liked. Because I asked her what she thought of our cast, and she said, what was it? Sometimes interesting, sometimes funny, always weird.
I think that
I think we just got a tagline.
I think that pretty much sums us all 3 of us up individually. So you
I totally loved it, man.
so Dan, say it again one more
We
time.
need to put that on. That's our new tagline, man.
Say it one more time, Dan. What it is?
Sometimes interesting, sometimes funny, always weird.
I like it. Love it. That's great. Well, meat, as always, you kind of
We
tell
should have that on
everybody.
shirts.
Well, meat, as always, you tell all our friends how to get a hold of us.
Well, we've got way too many ways you guys can get a hold of us, but I check all of them. So you can get a hold of us by our email address, which is returnofwhatever@gmail.com. We also have a Twitter account, which is twitter.com/returnofwhatever, no R, because it's just too long for Twitter to handle. We're just too long for Twitter to handle. We also have a Facebook group, which is Fans of Return of Whatever, and otherwise, just you can go to our website, which is www.returnofwhatever.com, and post your comments on our show notes. Again, sometimes funny, sometimes.
All right. Thanks, me.
Sometimes funny.
Sometimes funny, sometimes interesting, sometimes interesting.
Okay, sometimes funny, sometimes interesting, always weird.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in again, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.